Good morning, my dear friends and my dear students. In this session, we are going to continue the previous what we learned about the History Unit 4, Intellectual Awakening and Socio-Political Changes. I hope you remember the concepts what we learned in the previous class. Just to recall, we talked about the concepts of 6th century. What was the situation around the world? In China, the religion which emerged. In Iran, the religion which emerged. The religion which made the people to think and change their life. Today, we are coming back to our own country, India. What was the situation before 6th century? Because we are going to talk about the 6th century intellectual awakening. So before that 6th century, what was the situation of India? It is said to be a new iron technology in India. Around Gangetic Valley, people learned to produce crops more than that was required for the subsistence. For the need of their survival, how much the crops they need of, more than that they started to cultivate by the cultivation of crops in and around Gangetic plain. Another group of people took some other profession, some other works, jobs like a crafts are their livelihood, their way of life. Farmers and these craftsmen had a rely on a group of people who collected new materials and distributed crafts products. So we talk about one side the farmers, another side the craftsman, and we talk about another group of people who start to collect all these exchange of goods. Yes. So these are the three groups of people we can talk about at this time. So the early urbanization developed in two ways. The first one, some villages specializing in blacksmith, pottery, carpentry, cloth weaving and the like, more or less like handloom, what a cottage industry is like. So it's developed. On the other side, the second one was on account of a congregation, a group work specialized in the craftsmen in villages close to the place where the raw materials were available, where the marketing were present. So we can put the second group as a transporter marketers, the traders. So these are the two group of people who made the urbanization to develop more and more. Such a concentration made the villages to evolve into towns and exchange centers. So one side we talk about farmers and craftsmen, and other groups we talk about the collectors raw material, some of them brought into markets, and these made them to develop into urbans, so towns into the urbans. There are some significant commercial centers of the Gangetic plain we can note down of. What are the major places like? Vaishali, Shravati, Rajagirha, Kaushambi and Kasi. So these are the major commercial centers which are said to be found around the Gangetic plain. It is the first year we talk about what was situation, the social order of the people. At the same time, how the intellectual developed before the religion when you talk about. After Rig Veda, we talk about Rig Veda is the oldest so-called the teaching or the concept or the life of the people. After the Rig Veda, in the Indian history, there were 3 more Vedas: Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda. So these are 3 Vedas which emerged after the Rig Veda. They are called as the post-Rig Veda. The manuals, the handbooks which they held or they have still as evidence of rituals call Brahmins specifying rhymes, words to be sung, and 2 commentaries on certain Rig Veda hymns. They are called as the Aryankas and Upanishads. The Aryankas, what is this Aryankas is a containing knowledge to be learned secretly in the forest. So the monks went to the forest and they started to learn about acquired knowledge. That is what called as Aryankas. The second type of handbook which is called as the commentary is Upanishads, which is written about the Vedas. The commentaries about the Vedas were compiled in upper Gangetic plain during 1000 to 600 BC. So it was written, compiled means various ideas about the people, great intellectual people or the people, the monks, their ideas are collected and written, explained around 1000 to 600 BC. So that was called as Upanishads. So these are the 2 commentaries of Rigvedic hymns. So this what before 6th century, because 1000 to 600 BC. So before 6th century, this was some, we can have some knowledge about India. So to talk about the lesson, intellectual awakening. So religions of India in the 6th century. So how much they have evolved, developed. The Gangetic plain, iron plough agriculture required use of bullocks. So even today, some of the villages if you go, you have bulls. Bulls are used for ploughing, bulls are used for the cart, bullock cart. So they used to use dependent upon animals. But the indiscrimination of killing of the cattle for the Vedic rituals, so very important, because we are talking about before 6th century, they started to have the, based on Vedas, they started to have rituals. In the Vedic rituals, and sacrifice caused resentment, had aversion towards, because a lot of distraction towards the animals. The founders of Jainism and Buddhism, which we are going to learn about, of the 6th century, did not prescribes killing as a religious rituals, religious rite. They did not accept it. They did not encourage the sacrifice. So what will happen? Automatically people move towards these 2 great thinkers, ideas. They secured their livelihood mostly by alms. They did not talk about sacrifice, they talked about giving alms to others. Celibacy, leading their life without attachment towards any people. Abstinence from holding a property made new teachers much more acceptable than the Brahmin priests. At the time, Brahmin priests, they held temples, land, they had a lot of properties, they were considered to be the great among the highest among the society. That was the situation. Now this new religious so-called Jains and Buddhists. So these religious people, by giving their alms, neglecting the sacrifice, they made a new ideas about the priesthood. So the monks of this Buddhism and Jainism were looked upon than the Brahmin monks, priests. The people's resentment about the expensive and elaborate Vedic rituals, animal sacrifice, and the desire for wealth eventually took them towards Jains and Buddhism. So a small change that took place in the society. People did not, simple to say, people did not like the way of life or the sacrifice or the offerings given by the Brahmins. A new teachers came about by teaching there is no rituals, giving alms to others is a better way of life. So people moved to and listened to those teachers. So the followers of Jainism and Buddhism emerged more and more. To talk about who are those founded, Mahavira and Buddha, they are the founders of these religions. They lived a life of purity, exemplary of simplicity and self-denial. They rejected everything. They neglected everything in all the worldly thing they removed, and then they moved for self-denial. They lived in the times of the king Bimbisara and Ajatasattu, the famous kings of Magadha. So these are the situations, the beginning of 6th century. On the other hand, the commercial development of the northern cities like Kaushambi, Kushinagara, Benares, Vaishali and Rajagiri added importance to the Vaishyas, who turned to Buddhism and Jainism in their eagerness to improve their social status. So, some of the kings and rulers, instead of following the Brahmin priest rites and rituals, some of the kings changed the religion and followed Buddhism, Jainism. So, when the king is following a particular religion, the people of the particular kingdom or the empire also tend to move towards those religion, or sometimes is compelled to follow them. So, thus, these Jainism and Buddhism was very much patronized, developed and flourished during those empire, during those time of these kings. So this is what the beginning of 6th century. So we are going for the knowledge about these two very prominent religion in India, which is the home of India. So first one, Jainism. To talk about its founder, Mahavira. Vardhamana Mahavira is his original or the childhood name. He was born in the year 599 BC at Kudangarama near Vaishali. His mother was Trishala. She belongs to the Lichavi princess. Vardhamana Mahavira spent his early life as a prince. Just imagine, a prince married to a princess named Yashoda. They had a daughter. So prince married to a princess, they had a daughter. How happy he is supposed to be. But at the age of 13, he left his home and became an ascetic. For over 12 years, Vardhamana Mahavira wandered from place to place, from forest to another place. He wandered. Why? subjected himself to severe penance and self-mortification to discipline himself because he did not find a happiness. He did not find something good in the world. So in search of that, he went around 12 years. In the 13th year of his asceticism, he acquired the highest knowledge. And from then he is known as Jaina or Jinnah, which means conqueror. So Vardhamana Mahavira becomes Jinnah or Jaina, a conqueror. And he is also, as according to him, Mahavira, which means a great hero. A great hero who became a conqueror. So Jains believe that Mahavira came in a long line of Tirthankaras. Tirthankaras are so-called the teachers or gurus of those particular religion. And he was the 24th and the so-called the last of them. So there is no more Tirthankaras after Mahavira, Jinnah. So who are those Tirthankaras? So far in the list that we know, the first Tirthankara is known as Rishabha. And the last 24th Tirthankara is known as Vardhamana Mahavira, who is called as Jinnah. And before him, the 24th Tirthankara is Parsavanath, who was penultimate, who was known as so far. So in the Tirthankara, the teachers list, Mahavira comes as the 24th, as the last of them. Mahavira traveled in the vast place as a preacher in the kingdom of Magadha, Videha and Anga. So in those regions, in the kingdoms, he moved around and preached about his teaching. The Magadha rulers, that is mainly about Bimbisara and Ajatasattu, they were influenced by his teachings. They were attracted by his teachings, and thousands of people became his followers. So normally, as the king changes the religion, the people also follow the same religion. So thousands of people followed the teachings of Mahavira. After 30 years of preaching, he died at Paupuri in 527 BC at the age of 72. So when he died, his age was 72, and 30 years he preached about his own philosophy, his own method of living life. What was his teaching mainly about? What is the knowledge that he is giving to the people of India? Mainly he concentrates on three principles. First one is the right faith. Second one is the right knowledge. Third one is the right action. Earlier we had also talked about this. I hope you remember. Right thinking, a purity of thought, purity in the words, purity in the action, more or less similar to the ideas. So here he also speaks about right faith. What is the right faith is? Believe in the teaching and wisdom of Mahavira. Believe in me, the faith. Right faith, you should have it. Second one, right knowledge. Acceptance of the theory that there is no God, that the world existed without a creator. So he believes there is no God. There is no superior power than us. And there is no creator. It's all evolved. It is what we should have a right knowledge. And the third one, he says, right action. What is the right action? It refers to Mahavira's observance, the way of method of following. of 5 great vows. What are those 5 great vows that he talks about? First one is ahimsa, non-violence, honesty, kindness towards everyone, truthfulness towards our neighbors, not coveting or desiring things belonging to others, not stealing. Straight to say, not to steal. So these are the 5 great vows what Mahavira asks us to follow. That is right action. So right faith, right knowledge and right action. If we follow these 3 great principles, then we can have a good self-disciplined life. Because of this great teaching, this Jainism started to spread all over. What did he do? To spread his faith, he founded monasteries where monks can stay, live and make the people to develop. So he developed the monasteries and they lived a very auspicious life. So he asked the monks also to live auspicious life. In the northern part of India, new faith was patronized by the rulers such as Dhanananda, Chandragupta Maurya and Kharavela. So these are the major kings. They started to patronize the new religion which are coming up. There was a notable followers of Jainism in Karnataka and Western India during the 4th century BC. So it was 6th century. In the 4th century, even in the South India, there is a lot of development in the growth of this religion. So Jainism encouraged the public spirit among all who embraced it. Varna system practiced by Brahmins was challenged by the teachings or the way of life of Jainism. People were spared from the costly and elaborate rituals and sacrifice. They all like a relief for them. So we need not do all this sacrifice to achieve all things because on the other religions believe in God, whereas Jainism does not believe in any God. So need not have any sacrifice towards God. So they all spared from that. And thus Mahavira believed that all objects, both animate, move things, inanimate, immobile, or living, non-living, have souls and various degrees of consciousness, awareness. They also possess life and feel pain when they are injured. So, you should not give sacrifice. You should not hurt any animals or any other livings. That's what the major teaching of Jainism. All the things have life. All the things have the consciousness according to their capacity. So there is a major teaching. But there emerged a particular situation. The split in Jainism, division. There are 2 divisions in Jainism. One is Digambara, another one is Svetambara. Digambara, which is called as a sky clad. Sky clad means it is a white. The sense emptiness, sky clad. Means we don't need to, wear dress and they nirvana like. More or less giving away everything. Another one is Svetambara, that is a white clad. They wear white dress. And they should not destroy. Normally you might have seen around people moving around with the white. Even nowadays we are wearing mask. Earlier they used to wear mask. They cover completely with the white dress. And sometimes they have like a peacock feather or brooms. They sweep. It means they don't hurt because according to Jainism, everything has the life. So they sweep and then walk along. So it is not possible, but that's what they believe and they follow it. So these are the 2 divisions. Digambara and Svetambara, 2 divisions took place, divided in this Jainism. And some of other various other, like a division, various other negligences, some of them brought even this Jainism into Jainism to vanish away, stop this development. So decline of Jainism. What are the reasons for the decline? First one, royal patronages were lacking. Earlier we talked about some of the king patronizing this and thousands of people joining this Jainism, but later on they vanished away. The severity and factionalism which is prevailing in this Jainism. So these are the things. Another one, spread of Buddhism led to the decline of Jainism in India. So after Jainism on one side, on the other side Buddhism developed, many people started to follow Buddhism and leave Jainism away. So these are the reasons made the decline of Jainism. So last reason we talked about, development of Buddhism also was a major reason for the decline of Jainism. So what is that Buddhism is? Yes, we will start with the Buddhism. The founder is Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha was a son of Suddhodana, a chief as the Kshatriya clan of the Shakshyas and Kapilavastu in a present day which is called as Nepal. So to say at present, Gautama Buddha was born in Nepal. His name was, in the childhood, his name was Siddhartha. So as he belonged to the Shaya clan, he was also known as a Shaya Muni. He also known as a Shaya Muni. He was born in 567 BC in the place Lumbini Garden near Kapilavastu. He was born there. His mother, Maya Devi, who was also known as Mahamaya, died after a few days of his birth, and he was brought up by his stepmother. In order to divert his attention towards these worldly affairs, because in the childhood itself he lost his mother and he was brought about his stepmother, the world life something is different. To divert his attention from that, his father got him married at the age of 16 to a princess. Her name was Yashodhara. He led a happy married life for some time and had son by the name Rahula. So this was his life and the family and situation. What happened to him? A good life he had, married to a princess, got a generation, his son. Then what happened to him? There came a particular event. You might have heard so many times about the story about this Siddhartha Mahavira, Gautama Buddha. One fine evening, Siddhartha started, because the childhood name Siddhartha started to move around. Because he married to a princess, he was going around to see the people and the village around. When you are passing by in the streets and the cities, he saw a man, an old man who had been abandoned by the children, and he was left along the street. He was lying down just without any proper cloth, without any food, just he was lying down. That is the first thing that he sees. The second one he sees, that he sees a sick man, not in good health, he is crying with the pain, suffering. He sees the second event, and after some time he sees a dead body surrounded by weeping relatives, suffering. So after seeing all this, he was deeply moved by these events, situation, the sights, what he saw. He also saw an ascetic person who had renounced the world, left everything, and found no sign of sorrow. He was very happy, seems to be very happy. No trouble of wife, no trouble of children, nothing, no desire for any product, no desire for bike or car like you and me. So without anything, he was away from sorrow, was very living happy. He sees 4 events: old man, sick man, and the dead body, dead man. All of them are filled with sorrows. On the other side, he sees an ascetic person, a monk who renounced everything of the world, lives happily. It does not mean that he is not going to meet a death. He will, but till then he is very happy. These 4 great sights promoted him to renounce the world and search for the cause of suffering. So from there he is known in a different manner. In 537 BC, he left his palace and went into the forest in search of truth. In the course of his wandering, he sat under a peepal tree for several days. But only we know until he attained the enlightenment. The place where he attained enlightenment, the Mahabodhi temple, still exists in Bodh Gaya, Bihar. So under a peepal tree, he sat and had a meditation, and he was enlightened and got the knowledge. After his enlightenment, Buddha decided to impart this knowledge to the people. So it is not keeping all the knowledge within ourselves does not give happiness. Wants to deliver the secret to everyone. Let everyone be happy. Key for secret. Secret key for happiness. Okay, today we can have so many books on this. Key for success, key for happiness. So like that, he also wanted to give this key for everyone to be happy. So he went to Varanasi and gave his first sermon at Saranath. He preached in the kingdom of Magadha and Koshalam. A large number of people became his followers, including his own family members. After 45 years of preaching, he breathed his last in the year 487 BC at Kushinagar near Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh at the age of 80. So this was his life, how he developed. So we talked about he was preaching in Varanasi as the first sermon. What was his major teaching? What did he tell to the people? He said 4 great truths. He developed in a different manner. Suffering and sorrow is prevailing in this world. Yes, there is suffering and sorrow is there in the world. It is cause of human desire and craving. The suffering is because of human desire and craving, love for the things. But this suffering can be removed by the surpassing desire and craving. How you can go away from the suffering? By leaving away this desire and craving. This is to be achieved by leading a disciplined life or by following what he called as a noble eightfold path. The first thing says there is suffering in the world. Suffering is because of the desire. We can come across this suffering by overtaking, giving away this desire. We can achieve happiness. How? He gives eightfold path. And the second way of his teaching is attainment of nirvana, renouncing everything. According to Buddha, a person should aim at attaining nirvana, which is the highest bliss. Nirvana means not normally what we think, but here nirvana means giving away everything and attaining the highest bliss. That's what he says. And it could be achieved by any person, by any leading a virtuous life and by following the Noble Eightfold Path. So first one he says 4 noble truths. Second one is by Nirvana, but both can be attained by the Eightfold Paths. So now we are going to the major teaching of this Buddha, it is Eightfold Path. What are those 8 steps to achieve happiness? Right views, right aspiration, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right contemplation or meditation. These are the Eightfold Path which Buddha gives to the people. Who practice this Eightfold Path can attain the highest and purest state of mind, happiness. So many of the kings and people started to be attracted towards his teaching. So Buddhism started to spread. Buddha, in order to carry his message to different parts of India, he established the Buddhist Sangha. He started a movement, Sangha, or the holy orders of monk. They are called as bhikshus, that's the monks, and the bhikshunis, that is the nuns. So that is for the feminine. Were enlisted for spreading the faith. They were required to lead a life of purity and poverty. So he asked all the people, these monks and nuns, to lead a life of purity and poverty. In both the method they have to follow, and they will be the example for other people to lead their life. So Buddha spread in Central Asia, he spread in Sri Lanka, Tibet, Southeast Asia, and the eastern countries of China, Mongolia, Korea, Japan, Vietnam. So to all these areas he started to spread his own movement or religion called Buddhism. But this Buddhism also had some difficulty. There was a division among the people. During the reign of Kanishka, the Buddhist monk, that is Nagarjuna, initiated reforms. He initiated some reforms, changes in this own movement, religion. So the way Buddhism was being followed, as a result, Buddhism was split into 2. One is Hinayana, another one is Mahayana. So what is this Hinayana? Hinayana means lesser vehicle. It is a creed preached by Buddha. They follow the teaching which is preached by Buddha. And the followers of this form regarded Buddha as their guru. They accepted Buddha as only Guru. So Hinayana, they accepted Buddha as only Guru. They did not worship him as a God. So that is the difference between Hinayana and Mahayana. Please concentrate. Hinayana is a lesser vehicle. They preached about Buddha, their teaching, and they accepted Buddha as the Guru. Whereas Mahayana, which is known as the greater vehicle, they worshipped Buddha as a God. So when they worshipped Buddha as a God, they made his statues and all his equipments, everything, they worshipped it. Idol worship. So similar to that of the religion which was prevailing before, the Vedas. Actually Buddha was against the rituals, the worship of idols. But again, the Buddhists also went back to the same methodology, because where they came, they went back. They denied idol worship. Who? Hinayanas. Hinayanas did not want to have a idol worship. Whereas Mahayana made the statue of Buddha. They worshipped Buddha as a god. They made their statue and they started to worship. So this was a major division in Buddhism. And because of all these problems, there emerged decline of Buddhism, end to the Buddhism in various places. Still it is existing, even Jainism is existing, but there was some decline, slowdown in the growth of this particular movement. It was very popular in the beginning, because it was preached in in the language Pali. First one is the language problem. Earlier the local language of the people, Pali, it was preached. But later on, when you talk about these Mahayana people, started to move towards the texts were written in Sanskrit, and which was difficult for the common people to understand the concept, what was the teaching of Buddha. So that was the first reason why there was a decline. Second one, split in Buddhism into Hinayana, Mahayana. It became a virtual reason, image worship, and that is bringing no difference from Hinduism and Buddhism. So because of that, so Buddhism started to decline. And the third one, this Buddhism lost its royal patronage. Many kings were supporting it, but now they started to stop the support of this Buddhism, and that is also another reason for the decline. And the last one is invasion of Huns and the Turks. Invasion of Huns and Turks, they started to develop or spread their religion into this particular kingdom where they conquered, and our Buddhism started to decline of these. There are also some other heterodox sect developed after this particular Jainism and Buddhism in India, that is Ajivika and Jnana Sangha. To summarize, to talk about this Ajivika and Jnana Sangha, Ajivika which was founded by Goshala. Goshala was a good friend of Mahavira. They worked together for some time. After some time, they both of them were separated, and Goshala went on the other side, Mahavira went on the other side. So Goshala has his way of teaching and methodology of bringing about. So he developed he rejected karma theory, and he also, karma is depending upon our past life, our way of action. So he did not depend upon that. And he also argued that acts of charity and piety can in no way influence this finality. Our finality is not determined by our own action, what we have done in the past. So with that, Ajivika developed more and more, and many small presence in the South India. We can find these people in different places, and their doctrines are very much seen in the Manimegalai of Buddhist theory books, and Nilakesi of Jains, and Shiva Jnana Siddhaya of Shaivites. In these places we can talk about in different places. And another heterodox of it is Jnana Sangha. Jnana Sangha is two distinct forms of government. There were two distinct forms of government at the time of Mahavira and Buddha. That is monarchical kingdom. Another one is a clan oligarchy, or which is called as a Jnana Sangha. Jnana Sangha provide a polity, a hierarchical order alternative to the kingdoms. When the kingdoms are not there, these type of polity alternatives were there. Vedic rituals and the rules of Varna were not followed by this Jnana Sangha. So, the Jnana Sangha consisted of a single clan, either single clan, which means Shaishya, Koliyas and Malas, a confederacy, that is alliance or associated of clans, such as Virgis and the Vrishnis, that is the confederacy located at Vaishali. So it was mainly consisted of the single clan or we call as the alliance clan. So it was mainly followed by them. These Jnana Sangha had only two sects, divisions. The Kshatriya Rajakula. Kshatriya means we know is warriors, okay, ruling family. Rajakula means king's family. And the Dasa Karmakara. Karmakara means one who does the action. So slaves and laborers. Dasa Karma. So it had the two divisions alone. So Jnana Sangha had only two divisions. So in this session we talked about before 6th century, what was the situation of India? We talked about the development of towns and cities. Afterwards, we talked about post-Rigvedics. We talked about 3 Vedas, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. So after that, how we developed in the 6th century, two great thinker, Mahavira and Buddha. So we talked about them. And from this session, I ask you to learn about their teaching more elaborate manner. It is not that we are not going to follow, I am telling you to follow his philosophies, his own ideas, which can also make our life a disciplined manner, make ourselves little more following his own ideas and methodology to lead a happy life. And we will continue this session in the next class by following various kingdoms. We can talk about political changes which developed later in India after this start or the decline of these movements, different types of kingdoms. We will meet in the next session. Thank you.